Strength is not built by avoiding pain. Freedom is not created by controlling other people. Every one of those battles is lost before it even begins. Real power is born when you become impossible to manipulate, impossible to intimidate, and impossible to disturb from within. In this video, you are about to discover 10 timeless lessons forged through betrayal, hardship, exile, slavery, loss, and relentless adversity. These are not motivational quotes designed to make you feel inspired for a few minutes. They are principles that transformed ordinary men into individuals whose minds remained unshaken while entire empires collapsed around them. Stay until the final lesson, because the last principle does not simply complete everything you are about to learn. It changes the meaning of every lesson that came before it. Lesson 1. The battle you lose before anyone touches you. Long before Marcus Aurelius became the ruler of Rome, another man lost everything he owned in a single disaster. His ships disappeared beneath the sea. His fortune vanished without warning. The life he had spent years building collapsed within moments, leaving him with nothing except the clothes he wore. Most people would have called it the end of a life. He called it the beginning of wisdom. That man was Zeno, and from the ruins of his own loss, he discovered an idea so powerful that it would survive empires, wars, and centuries without losing its strength. Zeno realized that human suffering rarely begins with reality itself. It begins with the story the mind creates after reality arrives. Two people can experience the same event, yet one walks away stronger, while the other remains trapped for years. The difference is almost never the event. It is the meaning each person chooses to attach to it. Life places the same storm before both men, but only one decides to build a shelter, while the other spends his strength cursing the sky. Think carefully about your own life. How many sleepless nights were caused by facts, and how many were caused by imagination? A message arrives later than expected, and the mind invents rejection. Someone speaks with a colder tone than usual, and suddenly the mind writes an entire story of betrayal. A single mistake becomes proof that you are not good enough. Reality whispers only a few words, but imagination transforms them into an endless conversation that never actually happened. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than most people ever will. He reminded himself again and again that events do not enter the human mind carrying meaning. They arrive empty. Meaning is created only after your judgment touches them. An insult remains nothing more than sound until you decide it defines your worth. Failure remains nothing more than experience until you decide it defines your future. Every painful emotion first asks your permission before it can become part of your identity. Yet most people grant that permission without even realizing it. Imagine standing before the gates of an ancient fortress. Every thought, every opinion, every criticism, and every unexpected hardship waits outside those walls, asking for entry. Most people leave the gates wide open. They welcome every insult, every fear, every doubt, and every stranger's opinion into the center of their lives. Then they wonder why peace has become impossible to find. The Stoics built their minds differently. They guarded their inner world with the discipline of soldiers protecting the last city still standing after every other kingdom had fallen. This is why emotional mastery has never been about controlling the world. It has always been about controlling the gate. You cannot stop betrayal from existing. You cannot prevent criticism, rejection, loss, or disappointment from appearing in your path. But you always possess one extraordinary power that no circumstance can steal from you. You choose what is allowed to enter your character and what is left standing outside the walls. The quality of your life is determined less by what happens to you than by what you refuse to let live inside you. So before you try to change your relationships, your career, your circumstances, or the people around you, ask yourself one question that has transformed lives for more than 2,000 years. Who has been ruling the gates of my mind, my own wisdom, or everyone else's opinion? Because the answer to that single question quietly determines whether you will spend the rest of your life reacting to the world or finally becoming greater than it. Lesson 2. Judgment is the invisible chain. Every prison ever built has walls. Every cage has bars. Every chain can be seen with the human eye. But the most dangerous prison in existence has none of them. It is built entirely inside the mind. Millions of people wake up every morning believing they are free, yet their happiness rises and falls with another person's opinion, another person's approval, or another person's behavior. The tragedy is not that they are imprisoned. The tragedy is that they mistake the prison for reality. Epictetus understood this long before the modern world existed. He entered life as a slave. Another man owned his body, controlled his future, and could punish him without explanation. According to history, even his leg was permanently damaged by his master. Yet the world remembers Epictetus as one of the freest men who ever lived, while the names of the men who claimed to own him have almost disappeared from history. That should force you to ask a disturbing question. How can a slave become freer than the people who hold power over him? His answer was devastatingly simple. The event is never your prison. Your judgment becomes the prison. A harsh word is only sound until your mind declares it an attack on your worth. Rejection is only a moment until your imagination transforms it into evidence that you are unlovable. Failure is only information until your ego decides it is your identity. The world delivers the event, but your judgment quietly finishes the sentence, and that final sentence becomes the reality you live inside. Picture a sculptor standing before a block of untouched marble. The marble does not choose whether it becomes the face of a king or the ruins of a broken statue. The sculptor decides with every strike of the chisel. Your experiences are the marble. Your judgments are the sculptor. Every thought you repeat carves another line into your character until one day you wake up living inside a masterpiece, or a prison you unknowingly built with your own hands. Now look honestly at your own mind. How much suffering was created by facts, and how much was created by interpretation? Someone ignores your message, and your mind invents rejection. A stranger succeeds, and your mind calls it proof that you are falling behind. One mistake becomes a prophecy. One disappointment becomes an identity. Without realizing it, you stop reacting to reality and begin reacting to stories that exist only inside your own imagination. The greatest liar you will ever meet rarely speaks through another person. It speaks with your own voice. This is why the Stoics never asked people to control the world. They asked them to question the judge living inside their own mind. Every time pain arrives, pause before your judgment delivers its verdict. Ask yourself, am I seeing reality, or only the story my fear wants me to believe? That single question has the power to break chains that have controlled people for decades, because the moment you separate the event from your interpretation, you recover something almost everyone has surrendered without noticing. Remember this for the rest of your life. No enemy can truly conquer the person who refuses to surrender the authority of judgment. The world may shake your circumstances. It may take your comfort, your reputation, your wealth, or even the people you love. But the final decision about what those events mean has always belonged to you. Protect that decision with everything you have, because the quality of your judgment will always become the quality of your life. Lesson 3. The most expensive thing you spend every day. There is something more valuable than money, more fragile than youth, and more difficult to recover than health. Every emperor searched for it. Every philosopher tried to protect it. Every wise man eventually realized that once it is gone, no amount of power can ever buy it back. That treasure is your attention. The world convinces you that your greatest possessions are the things you own, but the Stoics believed your greatest possession is the direction of your mind, because wherever your attention goes, your life quietly follows. Seneca watched powerful men spend fortunes protecting their wealth while allowing complete strangers to steal their peace without resistance. A single insult could occupy their thoughts for days. One criticism could poison an entire week. One person's success could make them forget every blessing they already possessed. They believed they were protecting their lives, yet the most valuable part of their lives, their attention, was being handed away freely to people who had done absolutely nothing to deserve it. The tragedy was never what they lost. The tragedy was how cheaply they gave it away. Imagine carrying a lamp through an endless night. That flame is your attention. Every decision you make, every relationship you build, every dream you pursue depends entirely on where that light is pointed. Yet most people spend their lives turning that lamp toward fear, comparison, regret, resentment, and people who have already forgotten they exist. Then they wonder why their future feels dark. The darkness was never outside them. It appeared because they spent years shining their light in the wrong direction. Look carefully at your own life. How many hours have been sacrificed to arguments that ended long ago? How much energy has been wasted replaying conversations that cannot be changed? How often has your mind abandoned the present just to revisit a past that no longer exists, or chase a future that has not yet arrived? Every minute spent feeding those thoughts is a minute permanently removed from the life you are trying to build. Time disappears once. Attention disappears every single moment you fail to protect it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that a person's life becomes exactly what their thoughts repeatedly focus upon. That is not poetry. It is one of the deepest psychological truths ever written. Your character is shaped by your attention. Your confidence is shaped by your attention. Even your suffering grows wherever your attention continues to feed it. Whatever you repeatedly observe eventually begins to reshape the observer. This is why resentment becomes identity, fear becomes personality, and discipline eventually becomes freedom. From this moment forward, treat your attention as if it were the crown of an emperor. Do not place it into the hands of every critic, every distraction, every unnecessary conflict, or every passing opinion. Most people believe freedom begins when the world changes around them. The Stoics discovered something infinitely greater. Freedom begins the moment you decide that your attention is no longer available for anything that does not strengthen your mind, deepen your character, or move your soul toward the person you were meant to become. Because the person who controls your attention does not simply influence your life. They quietly become the architect of your future. Lesson 4: the enemy was never outside. Human beings have fought wars for thousands of years, believing their greatest enemies stood beyond the horizon. Kingdoms built enormous walls to keep invaders outside. Armies forged stronger weapons to defeat stronger opponents. Yet the Stoics discovered a truth that history quietly repeats in every generation. The most dangerous enemy has never marched toward you carrying a sword. It has always lived inside your own mind, wearing your own face, speaking with your own voice, and convincing you that every fear, every impulse, and every emotional reaction is simply who you are. The greatest deception is not that this enemy exists. The greatest deception is that you rarely recognize it. Cato the Younger understood this better than almost anyone in Roman history. While others trained their bodies for battle, Cato trained his mind for loss. He deliberately imagined losing his wealth, his position, his comfort, even the people he loved. Not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he refused to let reality surprise him. A man who has already faced disaster within his own imagination cannot be easily broken when disaster finally arrives. He removed fear's greatest weapon by refusing to let the unknown remain unknown. Long before hardship knocked on his door, he had already welcomed its possibility into his thoughts and discovered that it could not destroy the person he was becoming. Most people live in the opposite direction. They rehearse comfort every day and panic the moment life refuses to follow their script. They expect loyalty from people whose character has never been tested. They expect permanence in a world where everything changes. They expect certainty from a future that has never made promises to anyone. Then, when reality behaves exactly as reality always has, they call it unfair. The pain they experience is often not created by the event itself. It is created by the collision between reality and the fantasy they secretly believed life owed them. Look deeply into your own mind. How often have you been disappointed simply because the world refused to follow a story you had written without its permission? You expected appreciation and received silence. You expected loyalty and met betrayal. You expected success to arrive on your schedule, and life answered with delay. Every expectation became another invisible contract with reality, yet reality never signed a single one of them. The world did not betray your expectations. Your expectations betrayed you. This is why the Stoics practiced acceptance instead of illusion. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the highest form of psychological strength. It allows you to look directly at uncertainty without becoming its victim. It teaches you to stand before change without demanding that change disappear. The strongest tree in the forest is not the one that never faces storms. It is the one that stops arguing with the wind and learns how to bend without breaking. The same principle governs the human mind. Resistance creates unnecessary suffering. Acceptance creates unshakable resilience. So ask yourself a question that few people are willing to answer honestly. If every external enemy disappeared today, would you finally be at peace? Or would your own thoughts immediately create another battle to fight? For most people, the conflict would continue exactly as before, because the battlefield was never the world. It was always the space between reality and the stories they insisted reality should obey. The day you stop fighting life for being life is the day you discover a level of freedom that no victory over another person could ever give you. That is the battle the Stoics won, and that is why, even centuries after their deaths, the strength of their minds continues to outlive the empires that once surrounded them. Lesson 5. Become the man who cannot be provoked. Power has never belonged to the loudest voice in the room. It has never belonged to the quickest temper, the sharpest insult, or the strongest fist. Real power has always belonged to the person who cannot be manipulated. Every argument, every insult, every betrayal carries a hidden invitation. It asks you to abandon your reason and surrender control of your own mind. The moment you react without awareness, you unknowingly place your emotions into someone else's hands. From that moment forward, they no longer need to defeat you. They only need to provoke you. A man who can be provoked on command is not in control of his life. He is simply following instructions written by other people. The Stoics understood that emotional reactions are often invisible forms of obedience. Whenever another person's words instantly determine your mood, they have quietly become the author of your inner world. They may never realize it, but they are deciding whether you feel confident or insecure, peaceful or anxious, focused or distracted. The greatest tragedy is not that such people exist. The tragedy is that most people volunteer this authority without hesitation. They believe they are defending themselves, while in reality they are surrendering the only territory that truly belongs to them, their own mind. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that people act according to the limits of their understanding. The dishonest deceive because they do not know honesty. The arrogant seek superiority because they have never discovered inner security. The angry spread anger because peace is something they have never learned to possess. Once you understand this, something extraordinary begins to happen. Instead of taking every insult personally, you begin seeing every action as a reflection of the other person's character rather than a definition of your own. Their behavior stops becoming your burden because you finally understand that it was never yours to carry. Imagine standing beside a calm lake surrounded by mountains. The surface is perfectly still until someone throws a stone into the water. Small ripples appear, but after a short time, the lake returns to complete silence. Now imagine a muddy swamp. Throw the same stone, and everything becomes darker, dirtier, and more chaotic. The stone is identical. Only the condition of the water is different. Life will continue throwing stones at every human being without exception. The question is never whether stones will come. The question is whether your mind has become a peaceful lake or a restless swamp that allows every disturbance to define its nature. This is why emotional discipline is not about suppressing feelings. It is about refusing to become a puppet controlled by every passing circumstance. Feel the emotion, but do not become the emotion. Observe the anger, but do not allow anger to become your identity. Witness disappointment, but never allow disappointment to convince you that your future has already been written. The distance between what you experience and how you respond is the place where your true freedom is born. Every time you protect that space, you become a little less predictable, a little less controllable, and infinitely more powerful. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause before offering the reaction they expected to receive. Remember that silence often speaks with greater authority than argument, and composure often wins battles that force never could. The highest form of victory is not proving another person wrong. It is becoming the kind of person whose peace cannot be purchased, threatened, flattered, or stolen. Because the moment your inner world no longer moves at the command of someone else's behavior, you have achieved a level of freedom that no throne, no fortune, and no empire could ever provide. Lesson 6. The man who needs nothing cannot be controlled. Every form of control begins with a single question, though it is rarely spoken aloud. What does this person need so badly that I can use it against them? Some men are controlled by praise, others by wealth, others by status, comfort, relationships, or the desperate need to be accepted. The world does not enslave people by force as often as it enslaves them through attachment. Whatever you believe you cannot live without quietly becomes the chain that life wraps around your mind. The heavier the attachment, the easier it becomes for the world to pull you in any direction it chooses. Diogenes understood this truth with frightening clarity. While kings surrounded themselves with luxury, servants, and endless possessions, he deliberately chose a life with almost nothing. When Alexander the Great, the most powerful ruler of his age, stood before him and offered to grant any wish, Diogenes did not ask for gold, power, or influence. He simply replied, "Stand out of my sunlight." In that extraordinary moment, history revealed two completely different definitions of power. One man possessed the world, but still desired more. The other possessed almost nothing, and therefore could not be tempted by anything. The king could command nations, but he could not command the man who desired nothing from him. Most people spend their entire lives strengthening the very chains that imprison them. They become addicted to admiration until criticism feels unbearable. They become dependent on comfort until hardship feels impossible. They become attached to success until failure destroys their identity. Slowly, without noticing, they hand pieces of themselves to the outside world. Eventually, their happiness no longer belongs to them. It belongs to circumstances they cannot control. A life built upon external conditions will always tremble whenever those conditions begin to change. Look honestly at your own heart. What is the one thing you fear losing the most? Is it your reputation, your income, a relationship, the approval of people whose opinions change with every passing season? Your deepest fear often reveals your strongest attachment, and your strongest attachment often reveals the exact place where life can hurt you most. The Stoics never asked people to stop loving, stop dreaming, or stop building meaningful lives. They asked something far more difficult. Love deeply, but never become dependent. Build greatly, but never let your identity depend upon what can disappear overnight. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that every possession, every title, every relationship, and even his own body had been borrowed from nature for a limited time. Nothing truly belonged to him forever. Instead of making him cold, this understanding made him grateful. Instead of creating fear, it created freedom. The person who accepts that everything is temporary stops clinging in desperation. He begins appreciating life without trying to imprison it. Ironically, the less tightly he holds the world, the more peacefully he is able to live within it. This is the paradox that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary ones. The man who desperately needs recognition becomes easy to manipulate. The man who desperately needs victory becomes terrified of failure. The man who desperately needs everyone to stay will spend his life begging people not to leave. But the man who has learned to stand peacefully within himself carries a strength that cannot be negotiated, threatened, or bought. His confidence no longer depends on what the world gives him, because he has built it in the only place where the world cannot reach. So ask yourself a question that may change the course of your life. If everything outside of you disappeared tomorrow, what would remain? If the answer is fear, then your foundation was never inside you. But if the answer is character, wisdom, and self-mastery, then you possess something greater than wealth, greater than influence, and greater than power itself. Because the person who needs nothing from the world is finally free to give the world his very best without ever becoming its prisoner. Lesson 7. The silent death of the ego. There is a force more destructive than failure, more deceptive than pride, and more dangerous than hatred. It does not arrive wearing the face of an enemy. It arrives disguised as your own identity. The Stoics called it the greatest obstacle to wisdom because it convinces you that every disagreement is a personal attack. Every criticism is an insult to your worth, and every defeat is proof that you have become less valuable. This invisible force is the ego. It does not seek truth. It seeks protection. And the moment your ego becomes more important than reality, your growth quietly comes to an end. Socrates understood this better than any philosopher who ever walked the streets of Athens. When the oracle declared him the wisest man alive, he did not celebrate. He did not proclaim himself superior. Instead, he reached a conclusion so profound that it still echoes through history. I know that I know nothing. Those words were not an expression of weakness. They were the foundation of true intellectual freedom. The moment a man believes he has nothing left to learn, he unknowingly locks the door to every future lesson life was prepared to teach him. Certainty is comforting, but it is often the beginning of ignorance. Look carefully at how the ego shapes ordinary life. Someone corrects you, and instead of listening, you begin preparing a defense. Someone succeeds beyond you, and instead of feeling inspired, jealousy quietly enters your heart. Someone refuses to admire you, and suddenly you begin questioning your own worth. Notice what is happening. The ego transforms every experience into a question about itself. It cannot simply observe reality. It must constantly ask, what does this say about me? In doing so, it places you at the center of a universe that was never revolving around you in the first place. Imagine trying to fill a cup that is already overflowing. No matter how pure the water may be, nothing new can enter because there is no room left to receive it. The human mind behaves in exactly the same way. A person who believes he already possesses every answer cannot receive wisdom. A person who believes he is always right cannot discover truth. A person who constantly protects his image eventually sacrifices his character. The ego demands that you appear strong, Wisdom asks you to become strong. One is an illusion, the other is a lifelong discipline. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that praise and criticism are both temporary echoes passing through the minds of imperfect people. He refused to build his identity upon applause because applause disappears. He refused to collapse beneath criticism because criticism also disappears. His character was never measured by what others believed about him. It was measured by whether he remained faithful to reason, justice, humility, and self-control when no one was watching. That is why history remembers him not merely as an emperor, but as a man who ruled himself before attempting to rule anyone else. So ask yourself a question that may be uncomfortable, but has the power to transform your life forever. Are you searching for truth, or are you searching for evidence that your ego was right all along? Those are two completely different journeys. One leads to endless arguments, fragile confidence, and permanent dissatisfaction. The other leads to wisdom, peace, and a mind that no longer fears being wrong because it has discovered something infinitely more valuable than appearing intelligent. It has discovered the courage to keep becoming wiser. The day your ego stops demanding to be protected is the day your soul finally becomes free to grow without limits. Lesson 8. Everything you fear is borrowed. One of the greatest illusions the human mind has ever created is the belief that anything in this world truly belongs to us. We say my body, my success, my reputation, my family, my future, as though life has signed a contract promising that these things will remain forever. But nature has never made such a promise. From the moment you entered this world, everything around you was only entrusted to your care for a limited time. The Stoics understood that suffering does not begin when life takes something away. It begins the moment we convince ourselves that what was borrowed was ours to keep forever. Marcus Aurelius looked upon the greatest empire on earth and refused to call it his own. He knew that countless emperors had ruled before him, believing their names would never be forgotten. They built monuments that eventually became ruins. They commanded armies that eventually turned to dust. They accumulated treasures that now belong to strangers whose names history will never record. Time treated kings and beggars with the same indifference. The empire was borrowed. The throne was borrowed. Even the body sitting upon that throne was borrowed. Once you understand this, something extraordinary begins to happen. Gratitude quietly replaces entitlement, and peace begins to replace fear. The modern world teaches you to hold everything tightly. Hold your status. Hold your image. Hold every relationship as though your survival depends upon it. But the tighter you grip temporary things, the more terrified you become of losing them. Fear grows in direct proportion to attachment. A man obsessed with protecting his reputation will eventually become a prisoner of public opinion. A man obsessed with protecting his wealth will never truly enjoy it. A man obsessed with protecting his comfort will spend his entire life fearing discomfort. The very things you cling to for security slowly become the source of your deepest anxiety. Imagine standing beside a flowing river. Place your hand into the water, and for a brief moment it feels as though you are holding it. But the instant you close your fingers,